Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills were defeated by the Kansas City Chiefs with a final score of 27-24 after a heartbreaking miss by Tyler Bass, who was attempting his first true crunch time field goal, and unfortunately it went wide right for him. And man, it's another year where you're looking at the Bills and you're just, your first thought is just disappointment, man. Like, I genuinely can say I really thought this would be the year Allen was going to beat Mahomes. Like, you're in your house, you finally got Patty on the road for a playoff game, and y'all just went out there and you didn't play necessarily bad, but there were key plays. For example, the fake field goal in your own territory. That's one of the worst calls I've ever seen Sean McDermott. I'm not sure if he should still have a job, but that's very much up for debate if you ask me, because I hated that decision and it still didn't work out because KC came down and fumbled, so you got bailed out and you still lost. So they have that issue, and honestly, bro, it's really getting to a point where the Buffalo Bills are at a crossroads, man. Like, Stefon Diggs is another potential issue in itself, because I don't know if y'all know this, man, but Stefon Diggs was basically a non-factor in this team for the last, I want to say, 9 games, including playoffs. Like, once this team switched coordinators, I mean, I understand, yes, it became more of a run-centric offense, and yes, let's try to cut down Josh on the turnovers and all that, the whole nine. We understand that. But Stefon Diggs only having 44 catches for 388 yards and 1 touchdown in 9 games is crazy. And I know he was getting a decent amount of targets, probably at least maybe 60 to 70 targets, and only had 44 catches. Like, something about that just seems off. And I don't know whether it's Diggs regressing or was he just being underutilized, but that may potentially be an issue in itself, on top of the fact that we are starting to question whether Allen can get over the hump, as you've now lost to Mahomes three times in the past 4 years. So there's definitely a lot of questions with this team, but there is probably some answers, as they do have to figure out their cap situation first before they can find answers, because they are 50 million over the cap. I want to say like 51 million according to overthecap.com. And I think one of the first things they should do is they have to restructure a couple of contracts. Tre'Davious White, you should give him an extension. However, make it non-guaranteed, considering that he's been injured a lot the past few years. You restructure Josh Allen, push back some of his cap numbers, but it's only so many more times you can do that. As much as you would want to cut Dawson Knox, it would just cost too much this offseason. So push his salary back and make it easier to cut him in 2025. You have to extend Rasul Douglas. You don't trade for a corner just to let him walk, especially a good one. You have to extend Rasul Douglas, get the deal done with a good number. Don't reset the market, don't break the market, but just get him market level. But you have to try to make your best effort to keep him, as well as Teron Johnson. Teron Johnson is a solid corner, and considering the amount of injuries that this defense has had, especially this year, with key players being injured and missing extended time, you have to really invest in this defense so you can have more depth. Which is why I think, right, even though you would want to re-sign a certain restricted free agents or unrestricted free agents, such as Micah Hyde and it's a few others, like, you're gonna have to let some of them walk, and you're gonna have to draft really good. So personally, I'm letting Gabe Davis walk. I'm letting Hyde walk. Hyde's getting a little old, injuries. It's about time they move on. You keep Poyer, of course, but Hyde, it's about time. Might have to draft your replacement, but in terms of draft, I definitely think they have to go receiver in the first round. Like, I'm not going to say Stefon Diggs is regressing, but I do think it is time to consider that, one, that contract may become an issue in the future. And two, it is a serious concern with him being 31 that his regression might not be too as far as they think, right? On top of the fact that he just needs help and Josh Allen needs more options to throw the ball to, especially if you let Gabe Davis walk. So I think that Keon Coleman from FSU could be a good high risk, high reward kind of player you draft late in the first round. Showed a lot of potential at FSU. I mean, it's not the worst pick in the world, but I think either him or Brian Thomas from LSU seems to be a solid vertical threat. That would be a good option. Shakir steps up. Kincaid, obviously, you'll still have Knox, but you definitely have to add something to this receiving room in general, as well as just they need depth, man. Like, if I'm the Bills, I'm using after that first round pick being a receiver or some kind of offensive threat. Like, you've already taken Kincaid, so obviously you probably don't go tight end. So that's why I say you probably go receiver. But if you don't like any of those receivers, then you have to address the D-line and the pass rush, because Von Miller was injured a lot, just wasn't good. And more importantly, all the other positions that they were lacking in the playoffs, like they just got injury riddled the whole year. Milano, White, you have to use the draft to kind of just restock the defense and offensive line so you can have depth when it comes to the playoffs. And then more importantly, you just need a little bit more from Josh Allen, man. He has to get over this hump soon enough. And I just want to point out that they really put this graphic on the screen right before Tyler Bass missed, man. That is absolutely brutal. Like, I know they were giving this man all kinds of threatening messages on social media. I really felt bad for him, man. But there is a way to redemption to where you can retool this team and you can be right back in this position. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's just going to come down to the small mistakes, such as going for that fourth down in your own territory. Like, I don't understand that. Like, y'all got lucky with that. And then just the other things, such as not coming up big on that second down to Shakir, or Diggs dropping that deep bomb from Allen. So Buffalo, I think they'll be fine, but we are definitely starting to get to that point where we have to wonder, like truly wonder, can Josh Allen win the big games?